This is Ken Pyle. We're here with Jared Baumann of C Spire. Jared just spoke on what you guys are doing with Gig, and you have it going in quite a few communities. One of the challenges always is when you're building new plant, how do you get communities involved? And it seems like that's one thing you guys have done really well. And why don't you tell us a little bit about that, and we'll launch into a conversation.
Well, one thing that's really helped us is because we've been a wireless company for a long time in our market, we have great relationships with most of our cities already. And so we have a lot of back and forth with them, have for many years, had great relationships with them. And so it's rolled right into how we work with them on fiber to the home. And we've had fiber infrastructure in a lot of these cities already. In fact, any of the cities that we chose, we have fiber infrastructure in. Well, I guess except for Quitman, Mississippi, we did not yet. But all the other cities we had fiber infrastructure in already. And so we had some working relationships there. But the big difference was we said, this is different. We need to treat it differently. We need to act differently as we go forward. And we started sort of with the Google model of, the faster permitting, the no right-of-way fees, just making sure that we have a good contact with the city that we can always be working with, making sure we have a very strong relationship with the planning departments and these public works departments in each of these cities. But that's really just the start. And really from there, we learned very quickly that we needed and expected the cities to help us drive the education of what this kind of infrastructure means. People like yourself, myself, they get real excited about Gig and Gig Internet. There's a whole lot of other people that don't really understand what the heck that even means. And so when you get city leaders that are really excited about it and what it means for their community, they're going to go out and they're going to talk about it from the community perspective. We still have to do a good job of telling them what it means to them and their individual home. But a lot of times that community perspective drives excitement, especially in the smaller towns. The smaller the town, the more community focused people tend to be. And so that's a big deal.
Most of these connections that were there before were pretty slow, I assume.
Yeah, so are you talking the actual broadband connections that were there?
Yeah, the broadband that were there before.
Yeah, we're dealing with the same people that everyone deals with around the country, pretty much.
You don't need to know.
Yeah, your standard competitors, your cable companies, your telephone companies. They're talking, maybe 50 meg at best, 50 megabits a second at best. And we didn't want to do anything anywhere near there. We really sort of followed, again, the Google model there, where we just wanted to do one plan, one offering, and that was Gig. And so we went straight to a Gig, and that was a little hard to explain to people. You had to sort of step back and say, all right, you have what now? You have what service? And they'd tell you, and you'd say, well, that means you probably have X, whatever, let's say 20 megabits a second at your house. We're talking about 1,000 megabits a second. And sometimes you had to really bring it back to that sort of basics and say, that's what we're really talking about. And then when people realize what those speeds are, then they get excited about it.
And I imagine it's almost kind of a feeling too, right? Of having that Gig, it's a different feeling, right?
Well, yeah, there's an excitement that comes with being sort of the first to have it too. There's none, in Mississippi there are no other communities other than C Spire communities that have anywhere near a Gig of internet. Some of the people that get most excited are some of our doctors, some of our lawyers, some of the people that like to work from home but have struggled to maybe work from home. For example, I had a great conversation with a radiologist the other day, and a couple days a week he likes to work from home, doesn't need to be in the hospital, doesn't need to be in the office, but he was having to go in because he couldn't download the real large files, or if he did, he would literally start them, go do something else and come back. Well, now he can go and hit them, and they're there almost instantly. The only thing that slows it down is the servers and the connection speeds at the hospital. And so, those are some of the kind of things that we're starting to see people get really excited about. It's not the same old internet. You're talking about being able to have faster internet at your home than you do at your office. When we've come from a world that's usually been the other way around.
And you kind of touched upon that with that last answer, but are you starting to see results, or are the cities starting to see the results of economic development from having this infrastructure out there?
we're still pretty new in the game here, but we have seen in even some of our smallest towns where there's some tech companies that are interested in them now that never were interested in locating there before. Some of these small towns and even the larger towns are starting to look at ways to attract these tech industries. They're setting up incubator shops in their towns and stuff to be able to give people that are the ultra small startups the chance to get started there. We have instances already where we're seeing home values start to change a little bit just because the demand in some of the neighborhoods where we're building fiber infrastructure. There's some neighborhoods that have already qualified because there's been enough people excited. And in those neighborhoods, it's harder to find a house now than it ever was before. You know, house turnovers oftentimes are high in these sort of middle class neighborhoods where there are a lot of executives rolling in and out. Well, there were a lot of times houses that sat on the market in some of these neighborhoods, and now they're very quickly changing hands in the neighborhoods that have fiber deployed.
Well, which leads to an interesting question as far as how are you deciding where to bring fiber?
So, all right, everything we do is really based around the customer. So the customers help us understand where we're going to bring. As you may know, fiber is expensive to build. It's not something where you just can go and throw it in the ground easily. So there's a lot of expense there for us. And so what we do is we're going to take it to places, the neighborhoods, the areas that we often call fiber hoods, that people are showing the most excitement. So we have it varies depending on area as to how expensive it is for us to build, but generally between 35 and 45% of the houses in an area need to sign up, and when they've hit those goals, then we'll go and build those areas.
And the areas you're focusing on right now are primarily the smaller towns, which give you a decent density. Once you get out to the rural areas, though, is that still a challenge?
Well, we focus not just on the small towns. Sometimes we have some Jackson, Mississippi metro town areas. We've just launched Jackson, Mississippi. We have a couple of the suburban towns there as well. Ridgeland, which is our headquarters. Clinton, another town there that we're working with. But we also have some rural towns. But to answer your question directly, we're not really getting into the rural, you know, one house every mile type areas. Those are just too expensive to build right now.
And from a plan standpoint, it sounds like you said, you kept it very simple. Now, what other services are you offering besides broadband? So
we offer TV and home phone. Our TV service, I get real excited about our TV service in the sense that we want to keep it also simple. It's just 2 plan options. There's a basic and an expanded, and then there's a few add-ons you can do, like your HBOs and your Showtimes and those kinds of things. But you don't pay extra for DVR, you don't pay extra for HD. All of our channels are HD. We decided, you know, you don't do a fancy new service and offer, you know, to make people pay for HD or make people pay for whole home DVR. You know, you make those part of the base service. And so we have that, and then our phone plan, don't get as excited about it, but people still want and use home phone. And so on that plan, it's just a very basic, unlimited everything, $20 a month plan.
And with the wireless, does that give you another thing to kind of bundle in there?
Absolutely. So our wireless customers get a $10 discount every month, is how our packages work. And also, if you're signing up for fiber to the home, we give discounts and stuff for people to move to C Spire at that time on the wireless side of the house. So always fun to be able to put all those things together. Additionally, we are getting ready to launch at the beginning of this coming year. We're launching home automation and security as well. Nothing like being able to see everything that's happening in your house from your phone, no matter where you are.
Well, and I can imagine with fiber, that just makes life that much easier.
Yeah, you know, when you start talking about a lot of those kind of products, you could do security, you know, pretty much anywhere. People have done security for a long time. But when you start doing the home automation pieces and you start to get a lot of reporting back from your home to your device, to your laptop, to wherever you are, you need a pretty good stream up as well as the download speeds. And one of the things that we do with our fiber infrastructure, like most people I think are doing on fiber infrastructure, not all, is it's true symmetrical. So it's 1 gigabit up, 1 gigabit down. And so it doesn't matter. You've got a great speed. You can do anything you need to, video-wise, upload-wise. It's really nice for that.
And one of the things that impressed me was the public officials. Some of your folks you're working with they're thinking for their communities that they need to be out there. What sort of advice or what takeaways would you have for other communities around the country as far as, how do they get this gig, or why is it important to get the gig to their community?
Well, for Mississippi, I can talk specifically because that's where we're really doing our deployments, but it really applies everywhere. You really have to have leadership that understands the importance of this. Some of the cities that we have worked with, they were actually going out and trying to do this themselves and try to figure out how they could actually do it and not lose everything that they put into it. If you have what Provo ended up having happen before Google came in and saved them, and when I say saved them, they gave everything that they'd put into it, some $47 million. I think they gave them $47 million for the infrastructure, and not even just for free, they gave them that, and then Google also required another like $1.5 or $1.9 million bond that had to be done as well, just for them to take the network. Well, I would tell people, that's a hard way to go. You can do it. There are some communities that have done it. You have your Lafayette, Louisiana, your Chattanoogas. Some of those have done it and have been successful. But what we're doing, if they can go out and try to find partners like a C Spire in their areas, wherever they are in the country, or in Mississippi, they can come talk to us. We're interested in working with cities that get it, that really understand and are going to help drive the excitement, help drive the understanding, the education level in their community. Then those are the places we want to work. Also, we have to have fiber infrastructure that's near, because our backbone fiber that we have is built around the state, and we have a pretty extensive network that's already there. But we don't hit every town. We're not in every place. So we're not working necessarily in all the towns or with all the towns right now. And sometimes we have to tell people, maybe next year, or maybe in a couple of years we'll talk to you. But if they understand the value that can be added to it, and they can go find a company like a C Spire in their area, that would be my advice.
Well, that's super advice, and Jared, I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.